The football world heads to Mobile, Alabama for the Reese Senior Bowl. We let you know what names to watch and who has the most to lose or gain ahead of the NFL draft. All this and more with the IBT podcast coming at you.
Cause I've been in tune, out of touch, coming off the bench, trying to shake the funk, check your stat line, see who's up, that over under hit too clutch.
And I'm trying to avoid getting carried away with the jet sweep, sleeping on a trick play, predicting all of my moves like they seen every play. And so I'm running it back, head down, get out of my way. And it's for the law with only one thing to do. I guess I'll say a prayer and put it all on the line for you. What they don't know, something they haven't seen. I find a gap off the screen and hit them right in between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it.
Just one thing to say, yeah, what they don't know, something they haven't seen. I'm off that mean Joe Green, it got me fading between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it. The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024, and the IBT podcast is back with you as NFL executives, thoughts leaders, and scouts all head to Mobile, Alabama, where they're going to be on itty-bitty planes because there's no major airports to go in and out of that bitch. And hey, we're going to chat all about it tonight. And a lot else going around the NFL world. We have a stacked program for you. My name is Seth Woolcock, and today I am joined by a big betting son of a gun, a man who fires out futures like no others. He's got the biggest brain in the marketplace right now. He's Eric Romoff. What's up, Eric?
Man, still devising my my hedge strategy for that Isaiah Pacheco bet that was born of this very show. So excited to see him make it to the big dance with like 66 yards ahead of CMC.
Let's go, man. Let's go. We are also joined by our good vibes guy at IBT, fashion icon, soon to be YouTube sensation, QB1 in your heart and in your head. He's Hoov. What's up, Nicholas Hoover?
QB1 in your heart and your head. I'm getting my ego stroked tonight. Let's go. All right, come on. I'm feeling it. We're on the way to the Super Bowl, baby. And I got Seth hyping me up. Woo,
Let's go. Let's go. I'm pumped up, guys. We have a great show for the audience tonight, front and center. We're going to do some coaching news, talk about those championship games. Sorry, Detroit Lions and Baltimore Ravens fans. But, maybe some hope for you next year. We're also going to do some Rave rookie reviews. We're going to rank Senior Bowl prospects heading in. Obviously, this is going to be a big week for some rookie ranking movement. So what we're kind of thinking heading into that down in Mobile there. And then we're going to also talk some shows that still hold up. Get you through spring with a little bit of entertainment advice as well. Then we'll round it out with some from the forum, answer your questions. And look, we're already stacked in here with the IBT family as well. We got Didi. What's up, Didi? Good to see you. Saying hello. Hello, boys. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the IBT family. Dave, ready to get it going. What's up, Dave? So good to see you, man. And he's in here with Albert as well. Good evening, IBT. What's up? Good to see you, Albert. And before we jump in, I just wanted to give a quick shout out, man. Like today was a pretty surreal day for us here at IBT. Just very, very humbling day being nominated for 4 different FSWA awards, as Dave puts down here in the chat, man. And it was very unexpected. And Scott, also our other co-host, not on the show tonight. He's a little banged up with the flu right now, but Scott also nominated. We're going against each other for writer of the year in the football category. So just very blessed for that, and grateful for this journey, guys. Like really, if you would have told me 5-6 years ago when I was a 21-year-old college kid doing this very podcast with no audience, no great community behind me like we have now, that this is what life would look like, I would say hold that, because I don't believe it all. So just so thankful for it all, man. So thankful for the colleagues I've met along the way, like you great gentlemen, Hoov, Eric, you guys have been a part of this fucking story from from really recent days, but you've been a big part of it. So I'm very thankful for you guys, thankful for this community out there, people pumping us up like Dave, like Didi, Albert, every single show in the audience. We can't thank you guys enough. And we're continuing to grow somehow. People don't hate us yet, Hoov. So Hoov, what were your kind of takeaways for the big day for IBT? And like, we're just getting started over here, dude.
I'm just so excited. Like, like me as a person, when accomplishments happen to me, I'm just like, But when my friends have accomplishments, I just like do my cheeks hurt right now. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for the whole entire team. Like, Scott is just such an amazing talent that we have here at IBT, and you as well as our leader. And like, we're so appreciative to have you and have everyone here on this team. So like, I'm glad that everyone else and those people in charge that do those nominations are finally seeing what I and the rest of the team see. So this is your moment, man. Like, hats off to you.
I appreciate it, man. And I think it more of our moment. Honestly, I think it's more our moment as a company. And Eric, I think if anything, this teaches me and hopefully other people, like, it's okay to do things differently in this industry. Like we are a very different company than most of these other fantasy sports companies out there. And like, it's proved to at least be somewhat, successful if you do things differently, if you can mix it up, be yourself, and at the same time, like, don't be afraid to zig when other people are zagging, and just approach it in your own light. So what are your thoughts on that as someone who's had vast experience in the fantasy sports and startup realm?
Yeah, I mean, that's really it, right? Like, being different, it's a feature, not a bug, right? Like, you have to find a way to separate yourself from the noise. And the thing that you mentioned that's really spot on is, if being truly and uniquely yourself is what makes your outfit, your content, whatever you're doing different, that's when you really have something special, right? So like, the people that are watching the show, the people that have been following IBT for a while, like, you are all a part of this. You have watched this build over the years, right?
Yes.
I'm not surprised to find this out, right? I don't think anyone in the IBT family was. So it's definitely cool to see everyone get their just due, because it has been a lot of hard work to get to this point.
Absolutely. And thank you guys in the audience for the congratulations, Didi and Dave. I appreciate you guys so much. And this is our award. I think you said it pretty much, Eric. Like, this is our award. This is our community's award. So thank you guys so much for the nomination. Scott and I go in, and I think there's about seven recipients for that one. So I think we have like a little bit of a chance that IBT comes home with it. So hopefully the odds are in our favor, boys. But thank you guys again. If you are new to the channel, easiest way to support us here, subscribe, come back, hang out with us again. We got clips popping off left and right now on the channel. We got columns and blogs coming out on the website as well. So make sure you guys are checking it out, hanging out with us all off season long. Let's get to front and center and mix it up with a little bit of coaching carousel and some conference championship recap.
Sometimes taking that first step out the door is the hardest thing to do. Give it a chance, you'll be begging for more. Save the spot just for you. We're all somewhere in between. How about you come to the place you can have some fun? Ain't gotta worry about knowing not what it means. Come and give me another, cause the night is young. At least I so thought.
This just in. Breaking news. Front and center.
Front and center, and it was the Chiefs cashing the money line for us again. Hoov, you and I were back on here a week ago, and I said I wasn't taking the money line quite yet, but I was hammering down on the spread. I got on the money line heading into the weekend. It was great for that. Eric, you and I have been riding, you more so than I, and Isaiah Pacheco, future most rushing yards, 15-1, I believe we got it at. How are we feeling about the Chiefs? They come out here, they pull it off. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Ravens looked like an inexperienced team who hadn't been there before, man. And what was your takeaways, Romoff?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, right? Like, first off, just the concept of the Chiefs being underdogs whatsoever in this playoff run, right? But also,
the whole
like,
time, yeah.
looking at these two games in particular, like there's a clear dichotomy. Baltimore was not the team that they were, at least offensively, throughout every other game this season, right? Like they had a very clear and distinct identity in terms of how they wanted to matriculate the ball down the field. And then they got to this AFC Championship game. They got down by 7 off of that opening drive and just completely scrapped what was their game plan for most of the year, right? So,
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
it's hard enough to win in this league, especially in a championship game. And then if you're doing so kind of, punching with your offhand, I mean, you're definitely putting yourself in a tough spot. So, I mean, the defense stepped up down the stretch run, but yeah, this was a big bummer for the Ravens faithful.
Yeah, the Chiefs came out hot, but the Ravens held them to 3 points after their first 2 possessions. And then this was a Ravens team that I think there is a lot of hype. There's a lot of talent on. Zay Flowers is excellent, but he also caused a terrible turnover at the goal line, caused a penalty that brought them back away from the goal line as well. Ravens got away from the run game, Hoov, and ultimately they kind of end this one 3 turnovers in the bag, 8 penalties as well. Are you back in on Lamar next year? You think they'll get right back to it here as far as fantasy football production goes?
Yeah, I'm still on Lamar. I think it's a little unfair to doubt the Ravens because, like we talked about last week, the line at 44 that showed that it's a defensive game, and something that we've talked about throughout the whole season here on IBT is how good the Kansas City Chiefs defense really is. And so, when in a battle of good defenses versus great quarterbacks, like obviously we know Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. So Lamar making a few more mistakes than the best quarterback in the league, like Lamar's still a great quarterback. Don't doubt him. Like this is going to teach him so much that there's going to be a moment that Patrick Mahomes isn't there and Lamar is a quarterback that can capitalize, like Josh Allen, like Joe Burrow. I'm not worried at all. Like Lamar, I hope you get this MVP. You're going to be a 2-time MVP. You're going to be the 10th quarterback to ever do it. Congratulations. I know this isn't the offseason that you're going to be looking for, but think positively because like you have so much more next year. I can see it.
The Chiefs are the Chiefs, man. And like I went into this postseason and this season really saying, I'm done betting against these guys. I took Travis Kelce in a bunch of leagues. I had Rashee Rice everywhere, hoping that they would come to fruition. And in the regular season, they won me money. They won me a shit ton of money here in the postseason as well, Eric. So I'm feeling good about the Chiefs. Unfortunately, though, the Lions, man, shout out Detroit, Eminem, Barry, all the boys out there. Talk about a sweat, too, because I had the 49ers Chiefs money line parlay. I had them parlayed to also go to the Super Bowl. And I also had them in a bracket challenge. So it was a big money week for me. If the 49ers could pull this off, and they are down 14-0, down 24-7 at the half, then Brock Purdy and CMC do their fucking thing, score 27 unanswered. Felt like kind of a college game in the comeback there. Questionable clock management from Danny Campbell and the boys down the stretch. And hey, you got to win for the 49ers. How'd it feel, Mr. Hoov?
You see, there's nothing greater. And I wanted this so badly last year. And I knew it. I knew it deep down that we were the best team last year. And it just came down to unfortunate circumstances. And we're finally there a year later. It took so long, but we're finally back. And I don't know if I've shared this on the show before, but my dad is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. He was born the first time the Chiefs won a Super Bowl. And so that's how he became a Chiefs fan. And so until Patrick Mahomes won it for him against the Niners, that was his first time he's ever gotten to see his team win a Super Bowl. So now we're going against each other this time and facing each other. But here's the kicker. Last time that we played, we were going to go to the draft in Vegas and COVID happened and we weren't able to go. This time I'm locked in for the draft. So I feel like,
it's your year.
We weren't able to go to the draft. I'm for sure going to the draft. What's the common denominator? X times Y, X times 100 divided by Y. We do cross multiplication around here. And that means bang, bang, Niner gang.
Eric, do you have anything placed on the Super Bowl yet? As far as the Kansas City, you could get them a little bit plus money on the money line as of yesterday. I think it's come down to closer to even now.
Yeah, I don't have anything placed as of yet. I will happily take either plus money or points, probably on either side of this game. I think it's going to be a real close game when it's all said and done, right? So there was a
Absolutely.
point where it felt like the line was moving in the other direction. I think Kansas City was getting 1.5, then it went up to 2.5 at a point. This is part of the fun of there being a 2-week lead up to the big game, right? Is like these markets are going to swing wildly, but for me, like
Yeah.
in a close game like this, I could totally see it coming down to the last possession. I could see it coming down to a call from a referee. And whenever that's the case, like take the points or the plus money and run.
I'm going to add one more thing to build up a little suspense for the Super Bowl. I thought of this when I was at work today. And what if, that there's Taylor Swift over in, she has a performance in Tokyo the night before. And so I think that's like a 12-hour flight. And so it's 13 hours between the concert and Super Bowl kickoff. Well, what if you hear the night before, like, oh, she's not able to get on the flight. The flight's delayed. She's not going to make it. And then people start betting on the Niners day of, like, oh, yeah, here we go. Like
swing.
Taylor Swift's not there. Travis ain't going to do it. And then she shows up at halftime, just like Niners.
There we go.
Super Bowl, and we just get screwed. We get screwed because Taylor shows up.
There we go.
That's my worst nightmare.
I love it. I love what you're cooking up there, Hoov. In other news, Jim Harbaugh hired as Los Angeles Chargers head coach. I thought this was the best job, honestly. I thought this was the best coaching job available, the best quarterback on the market for these teams without a head coach. California weather, non-toxic media market, non-meddling owner as well. Like I think this was a great job for Jim. He takes it. Eric, how far do you have Justin Herbert up your rankings next year?
Yeah, I don't know if this will necessarily move or affect Justin Herbert's rankings, right? But I do think that it's a nice fit, right? I mean, I've been high on Herbert regardless of poor coaching situations. So, I don't think that he can go much higher defendably. But I mean, shout out to Jim Harbaugh. I mean, basically everywhere he's gone, he's managed to find a fair amount of success, right? So
yeah.
He's got his work cut out for him the most with regard to this roster overall. Yes, he's got the quarterback who is easily the best quarterback among the head coaching vacancies. But, I mean, the rest of the roster is old or expensive or old and expensive. Like, they're going to have to really build up and hit it out of the draft.
Gymnastics.
Which they just scooped up someone from the front office in Baltimore. So those Ravens execs usually do a pretty good job with talent evaluation. Hopefully they can turn it around quick.
Yeah, they're going to need to do some salary cap gymnastics, rebuild that offense a little bit around Justin Herbert. I'm excited to see what happens in Los Angeles. Hoov, if the over-under is set at 9.5 wins for the Chargers next year, you taking the over?
Not the first year.
Okay. You're saying give me it only took one for the 49ers, though.
I'll stand by what I wrote about in the article. Like, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach, and I wrote about it with the Raiders, and I said, give him 3 years and he'll win that division 100%. And Ryan Clark already came out and said that give him 3 years, and him and Shady bet like $5,000 on it. Give him 3. Yeah, like give him 3 years and he wins that division.
Shady. All right.
Yeah, love and it. So I'm with it. Like, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. And right now, like, you're looking at Mike Williams, possible cut casualty. You got Keenan Allen, possible cut casualty. There's a lot, like, in that defense. Like,
yeah,
I didn't think that Jim Harbaugh was going to go there because of the Raider connection. And, like, once a Raider, always a Raider. So going to a division rival when the option to go home was there, it didn't make sense. But looking at it again, now that with the hire, like, now I got a little more clarity. It does make sense because if you're going to, like, have to clear everything out, you're going to need someone that knows the draft the next 4 years because he's been in college football. He knows who's a dog, who's not. So he'll know who to bring in and surround Justin Herbert. I'm not even really worried about Justin Herbert right now. I'm more focused on who they're going to pick at 5. And I'm feeling Joe Alt right now. So
okay,
maybe a little more protection with Justin Herbert. Maybe in fantasy, he's like probably like a 105, 106. But if they don't pick a tight end, if they don't pick a tackle, it's gonna be another tough season for sure.
All right. Other news we don't have to touch on too quickly, but we do also have Raheem Morris hired as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. Doesn't look like Bill Belichick unless he gets this Commander's job. He might not be coaching in the NFL this season. He might be taking a year on the couch. Good for Raheem Morris. Seems like he's the right guy for this. Zach Robinson also hired as the OC for the Rams. He's the Rams quarterbacks coach. So he'll head over there to Atlanta with Raheem. Kellen Moore expected to be the Eagles' new offensive coordinator here. Eric, you liked it last year for Keenan Allen. Do you like it the same for Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown? I felt like it was kind of hard to judge what Kellen Moore did in Los Angeles because of the injuries and just the overall lack of weapons, and Austin Eckler aging and Quentin Johnston just being a nobody.
Yeah, I mean, even though it wasn't a stellar season for the Chargers offense, you could see the ways in which he changed their scheme, right? They were definitely more vertical. They didn't check down quite nearly as frequently as they did before. Even Keenan Allen, he was the quintessential possession receiver, and he got a little bit more padding to his ADOT under Kellen Moore. I think with him expected to go to the Eagles, I think it's just like a return to stability, right? Like,
yeah,
Brian Johnson was not it. So getting someone that knows how to run a sophisticated NFL offense, Kellen Moore or otherwise, I mean, just getting a professional OC in the door is really going to be a big upgrade for this offense.
Pros pro there in Kellen Moore. Last headline here, Arthur Smith expected to be the Steelers' new offensive coordinator. And holy shit, I was having a great day, tremendous day for the team and the boys. And then I get this news, and there's two sides to this. He was great in Tennessee as an offensive coordinator. Maybe that's more his role. But also, why are the Steelers always making these boneheaded ass decisions when there's Cliff Kingsbury and guys we know can run an NFL offense out there? So yeah, I'm not loving it. I'm going to be honest. Steelers moving down my ranks. George Pickens is not going to love this at all. Hoov, any thoughts on what Arthur Smith does to the Steelers for fantasy? Because I'm out on the Lurs this year.
Well, the zero RB people are going to love this move. They really are. You got Jalen Warren. He's probably not going to, at ADP, he's not going to be very sought after. And Najee, with how he burned people most of the year, you'll have the people that are like, oh, Najee's going to pop off. You had the people that were saying Cam Akers was going to pop off because he had the last 5 weeks being relevant. So you're going to have those people. But overall, their ADP is going to dip a lot. So
yeah,
I could see an opportunity.
Yeah,
I could see an opportunity where both of them could be flex relevant. So who knows? I'll keep my eye on that situation for sure.
Hell yeah.
Frankly, I'm surprised that one thing that we didn't talk about, we talked about Kellen Moore, but we didn't talk about Vic Fangio. I think that's more important than Kellen Moore. I got Jordan Davis as a defensive player of the year.
We're not playing IDP out here, Hoov. Get real. Get real. I got one IDP league. I'm not out here ripping IDP on the Reggie. Ben Johnson back to the Lions as well. This dude just is saying, either pay me some good ass money or I'm staying here in Detroit with MCDC and the boys. So good to see some loyalty out there, Eric, and a young coordinator just continuing to say, hey, I want a premier job, and maybe these weren't it for him.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Had Detroit not made a deeper run and he had kind of his pick of the litter of available jobs, he might be wearing that head coaching badge right now. But with it down to
how that happens too. You know what I mean? He was in the playoffs.
And dude, I was sweating it as a Texans fan. I was like, no, the hot commodity's making a deep run. They're going to scoop up Slowick, but he went out and got a bag as well as Gerard, our QB coach. So yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to like about how this sets up for seasons plural to come for the Lions. So I think if he doesn't like the fit with the two open jobs, comes back, has another successful season, he'll have his choice heading into the next hiring cycle.
Hell yeah, Ben Johnson. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into some Senior Bowl talk with Rave rookie reviews. right, Rave rookie reviews. Today we're going to do some Senior Bowl rankings, and then we're going to discuss some shows that still hold up as well. And I want to start out this disclaimer. I am not a college football expert. I do not think of myself that way, but I read a shit ton of content for both work and pleasure. I watch a lot of content, and I also do watch a good amount of college football as well. So with that being said, the Senior Bowl is this start for us to really get these looks at some rookies. The practices are just as valuable as the game's going to be on Saturday. That's going to kick off at 1 Eastern time. And it's going to be great for fantasy football managers who didn't get to see every single college game. And we're going to talk about my rookie rankings heading into this and who could move the most up or down in the draft board, which ultimately affects their ranking as well. So I'm pumped up for this. Let's go ahead and share the board here. All right. And let's talk about, Eric, when you look at the rosters here, do you agree with the assumption that this is the most stacked Senior Bowl you've ever seen? Because that's kind of what is being played up in the media here, that it is the most loaded one that we've ever seen. And I'd have to agree that this is absolutely lit rosters going on.
Yeah, look, I mean, credit to the Senior Bowl themselves, right? Like they've really leaned into their marketing efforts of the draft starts in Mobile, right?
Yeah.
And, over these last couple of seasons, there have been several cases that you can point to where a guy that was generally not on people's radar really announced himself to the world by way of the Senior Bowl, right? So I think they're looking to capitalize on those stories. And I think the players are realizing that any opportunity to get spotlighted in this pre-draft process is one that they can take advantage of. So yeah, this is a loaded roster, and I think this is a sign of things to come. I think the next 2 to 5 years for the Senior Bowl, we're going to see some primo talent going to Mobile.
All right, we're gonna have to start scouring for Airbnbs. Mark it down if we're gonna get this type of talent there for sure. Let's start with the quarterbacks here because I think that's where a lot of the intrigue is here. And at the top of my rankings here, I have on YouTube. If you guys are listening over there, we do have our rankings brought up. I have the schools and the mascots for each of them laid out. And if you guys aren't listening on YouTube already, make sure you are. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Come back, hang out with us again. And we also have the audio version, of course, that comes out on Wednesdays on all the audio platforms. But Michael Penix Jr., he is who's going to headline this class here in Mobile this week. Worked past 2 torn ACLs, followed Kellen DeBoer to Washington, had a near Heisman run, near SEC championship or national championship run as well. And then Bo Nix, he's second here on the list for me, guys. Kind of a middle of the road quarterback at Auburn, and then ends up going to Oregon here in a great system out there. Third in the Heisman voting, 51 touchdowns this past year. Man, Bo Nix was god awful at Auburn. And then Michael Pratt kind of ends this top tier of quarterbacks for me. He could actually slip in past someone like potentially Nix or Penix or a JJ McCarthy we're now hearing if these guys were to slide in the second round. Michael Pratt, coming out of Tulane, had 4 different coordinators during his time with the Green Waves and was a stud throughout it. Over 90 passing touchdowns, 287 rushing yards this season as well. Great pocket awareness quarterback. Eric, when you look at this top of the Senior Bowl board quarterbacks, who do you like the most and who do you think has the most to gain or lose here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a pretty clear tier break for me right after the first 2 names that you mentioned, Michael Penix and Bo Nix. These are the guys that are going to get, a fair amount of interest and should be in consideration as, kind of day 2, day 3 type of prospects. After that, I mean, you're really spinning the wheel, right? Like we talk about this.
You don't like Michael Pratt? You don't like Michael Pratt?
I mean, there's a lot to like, but there's also inconsistency. There's question marks about his ability to thrive in more of an NFL styled system, right? And that's really the point. You're just kind of spinning the wheel, right? Any of these guys can really go out and make a name for themselves in Mobile or in the pre-draft process. But I feel like there's a pretty clear divide between the first 2 and the last 4.
Yeah. Hoov, how do you feel about the second group here? For me, Joe Milton, the third, coming out of Tennessee, used to sling it from Michigan, goes to Tennessee, kind of a big fucker, 6'5", 244, had over 7 touchdowns on the ground, and was an efficient passer, just not a big volume passer. Sam Hartman, then coming out of Notre Dame, He was great at Wake Forest, transferred to Notre Dame this past year, and kind of took a step back, really. Just didn't have as much volume there with the Irish. To me, he looks like kind of a career backup in the NFL. And then there's Spencer Rattler, who probably one of the hottest names right now out there on the internet.
Dude.
There's guys who think Spencer Rattler is better than Caleb Williams and could go in the first round. There's people who think Spencer Rattler is going undrafted here after leading the Gamecocks to a losing season, something we don't see happening a lot there in South Carolina. Never really had a great career. I didn't think Spencer Rattler. So Hoov, what do you think about the second group? Is there anyone you'd be worth taking a flyer on in Dynasty rookie drafts?
Depending on where it is. I think that out of the Senior Bowl with all the quarterbacks, like I'm not very big on Michael Penix. I think that my comp for him, it's lazy comp at the moment, but the first name that comes to mind is Jameis Winston. I think he's going to overcompensate in the NFL with his arm talent. The three names that I think are going to really showcase in the Senior Bowl are Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, and
Stop. Get out of here.
Hey, like you said, people know Spencer Rattler just from name value, and they are going to watch his talent just from that. You know, people are like, hey, make sure you watch Spencer Rattler. The more you hear the name, hey, watch Spencer Rattler, the more you're going to be like, maybe I should check him out. But Sam Hartman, I genuinely think that this kid could be a good backup, and someone like a Russell Wilson that I don't know if you know this, but Russell Wilson was almost drafted by the Colts in that draft to back up Andrew Luck.
Sam Hartman's like as old as I am, Hoov. He's like 25, bro.
Yeah, and we would have never known what he would have been. But then he ended up getting drafted like a few picks earlier to the Seahawks, and he ended up replacing Matt Flynn, who just got paid a huge contract. So there's no real opportunity for Sam Hartman to be a starter right now, but I could see those three quarterbacks really kind of impressing right now. And one other point is that the fact that these two quarterbacks that people are saying are like a top five quarterback name in Penix and Nix are playing in the Senior Bowl. I always thought that like if you were a solidified talent, you weren't playing in the Senior Bowl. So I think
times have changed, baby.
I don't know. I think Penix and Nix, people are mocking them around like the 12 and the 13 because it's convenient with the Vikings and stuff, but I don't know. I could see them more falling into the 20s and in the second round. Like,
yeah, I've
there's
seen
real people talking about Michael Penix going undrafted just from his injury history.
All right, that's a little.
There
hot.
is. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are people that are saying that. Like Bo Nix, I think out of all these guys is probably my favorite talent. I think he's going to have some Jalen Hurts effect.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think Rattler's got the best arm out of everyone playing in Mobile. Like as a thrower of the football, he is by a measure of magnitude a more talented passer. But the mental stuff gets in his way, right? So like he can show out when he's in this pre-draft process. We'll see what happens when they're actually in the game environment over the course of the weekend. But I mean, if he falls somewhere that he gets into a good offensive system, someone that's gonna get these bad habits out of him, like he's someone that can totally sit on a taxi squad for a couple of years and then have value down the road. But I mean, we've seen what the floor is as well, right? Like if he keeps making bad decisions, he's not going to have much leash in the league.
Like you remember people were talking about Spencer Rattler as like Patrick Mahomes 2.0 a few seasons ago. And so like he's everyone in the NFL has an ego. So someone's going to be like, I could do it. So Spencer Rattler could rise up draft boards.
He's not a winner. He's never been a winner, and also never had better than a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. That's fucking gross. Get me out of there. Like that's
bad decision making, my guy.
Miss me on the Spencer Rattler hype. Let's talk running backs here before we got to get Eric out of here. It's going to start out here with Marshawn Lloyd for me. He comes in at my RB1 of the Senior Bowl, if you would. Dude has great receiving skills. Averaged 17.8 yards per completion this season. Transferred to USC with Lincoln Riley after being stuck in a committee. Kind of I think like a late round 2 pick in your rookie drafts. And then there's Ray Davis, who are also kind of in this tier. Another super solid running back from Kentucky. Just good at finding the holes and doesn't really have that top end speed for me, but I do think Ray Davis could be a potential second string running back in the league. Like, he's a great Jerome Ford. You know what I mean? Nick Chubb goes down. You need someone, throw in Ray Davis. I think he's a Jerome Ford type of player. Eric, what do you think of this top tier here? Marshawn Lloyd and Ray Davis for me, kind of overall around that RB 6 to 8 range in this class.
Yeah, I think this is the top tier, and even within that, I think Marshawn Lloyd is a good bit ahead of Ray Davis, right? Like, Lloyd is, I mean, he really shines most as a single cut runner, right? Like, great start stop ability, makes people look absolutely silly with his jump cuts, right? Like, good vision, good decision making. Like, he's not a burner. He doesn't have like crazy top speed, but the way that he strides helps him change direction, helps him accelerate quickly. There's a lot to like about how Lloyd sets up as a prospect. I do think he's probably a day 3 guy in the NFL draft, but like a middle of the second round guy in dynasty context.
Okay. And Hoov, a couple of these other guys that are from some smaller schools or just kind of off the radar guys. Number 3 in my rankings for the Senior Bowl here was Cody Schrader out of Missouri. Guy was one of the best players in Division II, ends up walking on at Missouri, 8th in the Heisman voting this past year, over 1,600 rushing yards. I love him. I think he's an electric player, but he's one of those players also comes into the draft older. How old? I couldn't tell you. Everywhere I look for this guy's age, it's like his PR people do not want it out there. How old is Cody Schrader? I have no idea, but he came into college in 2018. So I'm guessing he's around 23 going on to 24, and has a shit ton of miles on him. So any interest in Cody Schrader or Dylan Laub is my other running back in this tier out of New Hampshire. Kind of their big play machine up there, up yonder, and real nice hands, kind of like a late day 2, early day 3 running back in my projections.
Oh, I don't see that. I don't see them going that high. Like, just because of the immense talent overall. Like, it's not even a knock. It just, like, the only guy that I really see out of here that I could see standing out would be Marshawn Lloyd. But it's not a knock to them. It's that even just doing mock drafts now, like, these guys, I don't see them going until the 3rd, 4th round, because there's so much talent with wide receivers and, like, not really tight ends, but it's just a weak running back class. And I think people are going to realize that it's a weak running back class, and that they're going to wait.
Absolutely is.
And that they're going to wait. So, like, these guys, I see a lot of Trey Sermons. I see a lot of Kendra Millers. I see a lot of Israel Abadakandas. Like,
so you see, is that what you see in a Schrader or a Laub, kind of these more low profile guys who have been effective collegiate running backs?
Let's circle back on that, because I don't feel like the amount of tape I've watched on them, I can give an appropriate answer to that. So I'm not going to knock them. I'm not going to toot their horn, but
keep an eye. If you start hearing Cody Schrader and Dylan Laub this week, Eric, you know who sent you. Another guy who's actually kind of been rising up ranks. I know our guy Thor Nystrom over there at Fantasy Pros. He's all over this guy, Kamini Vidal out of Troy. He's kind of like a bowling ball that likes to truck fuckers. It is kind of like the best way when you put on the tape what it looks like. And led Troy to their first Sun Belt title in a minute here. Put them back on the map. And then there's Isaiah Davis as well out of South Dakota State, another small school guy here. Probably a day 3 guy, solid runner. 1,500 yards this past year, but kind of just, I think he's a end of a roster type of guy. And then rounding out this tier, it's Rasheen Ali, who I think is like really, when you think about everything that's happened in this guy's career, he's probably headed to the XFL or the UFL, whatever that league is. Didn't even play in 2022, kind of just went off the radar. So Eric, when you look at Vidal, Davis, Ali, is there any one of those guys like, oh yeah, maybe if they have a good week, they could move up my dynasty running back rankings and maybe come at the end of like a 4th, 5th round pick?
Yeah, it would be Vidal for me, right? Bowling ball are verbatim the words I have written next to his name, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like, the way that he plays, he makes people miss, he breaks tackles, like he just completely flattens guys. That type of stuff gets people's attention. It makes its way onto highlight reels. And then once you're on the radar, like, anything can happen with your draft stock. So I think the way that he runs like really sets up nicely to potentially improve his draft capital. And if his draft capital goes up, then obviously he's going to inch closer and closer to the fantasy radar.
Do you see him any potential he gets into day 2, or do you think he's firmly in that round 4, 5, or 6?
Yeah,
And
I've got him as day 3.
okay, day 3, and yeah, okay, so I don't think we should be paying too much attention to the running back position is kind of what you guys are telling me outside of maybe these top 4 or 5 guys this week. They're probably not going to be the real difference makers here when we get to the fantasy football season. So I appreciate that. Eric, thanks for joining us. I know you have to hop over to Green Screens Media, cash some college basketball tickets on the evening. So thank you for joining us, our friend, and we'll catch you soon, man.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Take care, buddy. We appreciate it. We love you. Hoov, let's talk some Senior Bowl wide receiver rankings here, and pumped up about this because I think we actually have a really good class coming here in mobile this week. And Xavier Legette, he's going to be the first guy in my rankings. He's coming from South Carolina, big guy, 6'3", 227. And he's someone the combine's really going to affect. Hoov. Is he the DK Metcalf type? Is he that athletic freak that we think he could be? Or is he more of a Treylon Burks, just kind of a bigger guy, not as athletic? And then the other guy in this top tier for me is Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. He's kind of the technician of this group to me. I think he could honestly be the biggest difference maker in year 1. I don't need to see as much of his testing because he is such a great pure route runner. So I think he could come in and be someone's flanker or be someone's slot receiver and honestly be a difference maker. Do you like McConkey at all? Do you like Legette? Do you think they have anything to lose or gain here down in Alabama this weekend?
No, I think that Xavier Legette and McConkey, they're kind of around where you know that they're going to go. I think that they're day 2 guys. They're pretty solidified day 2. Like maybe if they have a bad day, they'd slide to the day 3, but a good day isn't going to knock them over who's already in that tier ahead of them. I think honestly, one name I'd probably have above Xavier Legette and as my 1 would be Devontae Walker. And
okay.
Just because Xavier Legette, I liked his tape, and then I realized how he's not as tall as what he's projected to be or what he's proclaimed to be. So I'm just not. I don't know. He's a smaller DK Metcalf is replaceable. You know, that's just a guy. DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf because he's big and muscular, not because he's muscular. Everyone's muscular, you know. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan at this point. He could wow me. But Ladd McConkey, like, yeah, it's fun to make jokes and it was comps and say, he's Cooper Kupp, but I think he's more like Hunter Renfrow just because just like Cooper Kupp, he's a great route runner, but like him, Hunter Renfrow and Keenan Allen are like, in my mind, at one point, like the best route runners in the league. Like Devontae Adams was up there, but like he is a great route runner, and just whatever comp you want to throw out there with a great route runner, Ladd McConkey's that guy, and teams are going to really like him. Like, I don't know if he really has first grade talent, but opportunity wise, a team could really be like looking for a guy like Ladd McConkey.
Could you see him get into round 2 or 3? Could you see him going on Friday?
He'll go 2. He'll go in the second round, 100%. Okay. He's the only one. Ladd McConkey's the only one I think that actually could sneak in the first round and go to a team like the Bills.
Is Legette still a day 2 pick for you? Probably second, third round.
Yeah, I got Walker as a day 2. I got Legette as a day 2. Could slide to day 3. McConkey as day 2. Could go to day 1. Rest of the guys, like, I don't know. I think Johnny Wilson might move up draft boards too. I think you're a little low on him.
Let's talk about a couple of these guys because it's a very interesting class. You like Devontae Walker. I actually am way lower than consensus on him here. I am 5 just coming to the Senior Bowl. Some people have him as their wide receiver 5 in this class overall.
Yeah, it's tough.
Guy who I've watched just because he's been an interesting story. He had some NCAA violations, or was suspended for some of the season because of some of those issues. Ended up getting back on the field, and I think he's solid. I think he's a very solid wide receiver, but he never stuck out to me as a complete wide receiver. It still felt very, very raw. and a guy like I don't know what's going on really off the field, on the field with him a little bit as well. So I didn't like Walker when I looked at it. Still pretty early in my process, but I think I will be a little bit lower than consensus on him. I actually like Roman Wilson a little bit more. Who like this guy? When you need a catch, Roman Wilson was there for JJ McCarthy down the stretch. When you needed a catch, Roman Wilson was there more times than not this season. And we're hearing out of Mobile already from day one of the Senior Bowl practices that he's faster than we thought. He could run a sub 4.4. I think Roman Wilson, coming from a winning culture in Jim Harbaugh, he's coachable. To me, he's my wide receiver 3, and I don't feel bad about it. You didn't even mention him, so I don't know what's going on there.
You can convince me. You could probably convince me that Roman over Xavier. So I could.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but definitely over,
I could say
over
that.
Walker.
I could say that. Just because, like a guy like Walker, he has the talent, but it comes down to like what culture he goes to and what program he goes to and what head coach he goes to. So, like Roman Wilson could be who you're thinking Devontae Walker is in this draft,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Roman Wilson. Yeah, Roman Wilson could be that guy. So I don't know.
Some other wide receivers here to watch during the Senior Bowl for me. Jamari Thrash out of Louisville. This is just another good route runner. He's about a 6-foot guy. You would expect him to be a little bit faster, being smaller in nature, but he's really not. But just a very overall good wide receiver that was there down in Louisville this season. And then the one name I think we all need to pay attention to heading into the draft here, Hoov, especially on a dynasty radar, is Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. This guy is known as the Yak King. He's an athletic freak. Used to play defense, now plays offense. He can do a little bit of everything. He is very explosive down there in Western Kentucky. Reminds me a lot of a Jaden Reed type, someone who could come in and play some different roles for a team that need a little bit of juice. So I like Corley a lot out of Western Kentucky. I am 6 on my rankings, and there's a good chance that by the end of this week, he is at least in my top 4, potentially even in my top 3. That's how much I like him. I'm excited to see him down here in Mobile this week.
I'll watch more tape on him. I haven't watched a ton of tape on him, so that's why I didn't really mention him. But the only reason why is because when we're at this point with the wide receiver tier, I believe that every wide receiver is talented enough to be in an NFL roster, but I don't know if they're necessarily talented enough to be drafted. I don't know if he'll go undrafted, but like a 6th round draft pick, are we like really gonna be drafting them in fantasy? We might pick them up on waivers eventually during the season, so keep your eye on them. But
Puka Nacua came from the 5th round, and I think Corley's gonna potentially push to be a day 2 pick as well. So
you're right. I'll stand on that.
But Jacob Cowing, Arizona, he was number 7 for me. He's kind of a burner who's probably a day 3 pick. You like Johnny Wilson, Florida State. It's hard not to like Johnny Wilson when you're getting a 6'7", 237-pound guy. Like, the dude is fucking massive, but we haven't seen a guy like that work in the NFL in a long time. So he's intriguing for sure. Like, Justin Shorter out of Florida last year. Do you remember Justin Shorter? He was taken by the Bills. And kind of just an end of bench guy that people were grabbing, throwing on their dynasty taxi squad last year. Kind of reminds me of that guy. Probably won't pop, but I remember talking about him heading to the Senior Bowl last year as well.
Yeah, that name doesn't ring a bell. So
we got Tyler in the chat. What's
Tyler?
up, ballers? Loving the draft content. Last 2 wide receivers to mention here, kind of just downfield threats. I don't know if you have any thoughts on them yet. Didn't even make the graphic or the header down below us, but Luke McCaffrey out of Rice, another downfield wide receiver, also good in short yardage. I kind of liked what I saw on limited tape from him. And then Javon Baker, another deep play burner type of guy, kind of been getting a lot of looks and moving up some people's dynasty rankings. So just some names to mention there. Anything stick out to you with those last couple other than your big behemoth Johnny?
Not necessarily. Like I said, I think that these guys will all be rostered, but I'll do more tape to see if they can stand out. But we're at the point where like wide receiver 9, 10 outside of that range. Like there's 15.
Realistically,
there's 15 There's 15 NFL wide receivers in this draft, but are they all draftable? Like in the draft, they'll all be picked up. Like you'll see the names like, who's that guy from the Chiefs? Justin Ross. Like a guy like Justin Ross, everyone was like, oh, is Justin Ross going to get drafted? He goes undrafted, signs immediately, and everyone's like, oh, they got the best pick of the draft, and they didn't even like have to pick him. There could be opportunities like that where they just prioritize other positions because it's like, okay, well, if he didn't stand out from 12 other receivers, shouldn't we get the guard that stood out after 4 of them? So I don't
Justin Ross has been the biggest like waste of a roster spot in Dynasty fantasy football for the last 2 years. Guy can't stay on the field, can't stay out of trouble. Finally gets an opportunity to be with the active roster this season and blows it. So yeah, I hope there's better promise from some of these guys than there is Justin Ross. I think potentially like one of these guys could be like a Devontae Wicks. You know what I mean? That's kind of Wicks profiled a lot like these guys who've as kind of a burner downfield stretcher, and usually only about one of those hit per draft. You get a lot of Anthony Schwartz's and a lot of Andy Isabella's, guys who don't really do anything. And I think maybe one of these guys hits. Maybe it's a Johnny Wilson. Maybe it's McCaffrey. They're two of my favorite of these deep threats down the line. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about them more after the draft or potentially leading up to it. Let's round it out here with our tight end rankings, though, heading into Senior Bowl. And some of the premier tight ends, the 2 top ones, you're not going to be seeing here at the Senior Bowl down in Alabama this week. But we do have Jaheim Bell out of Florida State. He is my tight end 1 heading into this game out of the players active in this contest. And he's a guy I think we're going to want for fantasy Hoov. Plays in the slot, can play H-back a little bit, maneuvers around a lot, very athletic guy. Kind of reminds me of kind of a hybrid of a David Njoku mixed with like a Tucker Kraft, kind of a do-it-all guy, isn't afraid to get down and dirty, but also has some athletic upside. So I like Jaheim Bell and Ben Sinnott are kind of in this top tight end tier. Ben Sinnott coming from Kansas State. I have Kansas on the graphic. Apologize about that. That's terrible. He's a guy who kind of reminds me of the other Packers tight end, though, Hoov. Kind of reminds me of Luke Musgrave, big athletic guy, and great at high pointing the ball. Like that's kind of what Luke Musgrave was known as coming in here last season.
My only issue is that it's not like there's an opening for tight ends, like starting tight ends in the league right now. So these guys, like, I don't see them
they'll
standing
be pushed
out.
Down too? You think they'll be put?
Yeah, there's going to be star tight ends that come and take those openings. Like, there's young tight ends that are good tight ends for a long time, and they're going to be around for a long time. Maybe one of these guys is the next, like Luke Musgrave, and he stands out, and he's like that guy for the Packers. But I don't know. Like,
do they remind you more of like Darnell Washington?
That's what I was literally gonna say, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say that because now he's gonna pop off because Arthur Smith's there, so I can't even say Darnell Washington.
Oh Jesus, I didn't even think about Darnell. Yeah, Darnell Washington definitely gonna hot take for 2024. Who write it down? Darnell Washington outproduces Pat Freiermuth because Arthur Smith's there. It's going to be a Kyle Pitts, John Usich.
I'll say that Pat gets like 5 touchdowns and like Darnell gets like 4. It's like really close.
Yeah.
Pat barely beats him. I could see him like on his fingertips.
Absolutely.
I had Darnell as like a Jermichael Finley comp. So
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting. We don't know really clearly who is the tight end 3 in this class. Some people do think it's Bell. Some think it's Sinnott. I've seen other people say AJ Barner out of Michigan is their favorite tight end actually at the Senior Bowl. He's kind of a do well everything type of tight end here. 6'6", more of a red zone threat to me. Kind of reminds me of Dawson Knox when you look at his tape. I don't think he's going to be a downfield field stretcher like we've seen from some of these rookie tight ends like Laporta and Kincaid this year. But I think AJ Barner, he's number 3 for me in my tight end, so I like him as well. But again, I think he's more of definitely a day 2 guy. I think Bell's a day 2 guy, and I think at best you're drafting these top 3 tight ends somewhere, if it's maybe a tight end premium dynasty rookie draft, maybe round 4 or 5 turn, maybe, and potentially even guys are getting off free agency if you don't go into 5 rounds. 2 other names just to throw out there, Hoov. Theo Johnson out of Penn State. Hard to tell what he is. We know Penn State tight ends until Brenton Strange came out and was just a disaster for the Jaguars all year. Penn State tight ends have been good in the league. So Theo Johnson has good hands, steady route runner, good kid, but never used right in that Matt Urich system there over there in Happy Valley. So I'm a little lower on Theo Johnson than I am most Penn State tight ends. And then there's Jared Wiley, who was initially blocked at Texas by Jadavion Sanders, the tight end 2 in this class, transferred out, went over there to TCU and went on that magical run with that team. But still, I think he's a 7th rounder, 6th rounder guy. I don't think he moves the needle. Maybe Theo's a day 2 guy just because Penn State.
Yeah, like I said, like I just don't see it. Like Barner, because I've seen more tape of him with watching more Michigan games with them being more televised. Like, yeah, I could see him being utilized. Maybe he goes to the Chargers, you know.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be
I
bad.
can see that, you know, going with this old coach. So, yeah, there's nothing really about this class that really stands out. And actually, it's kind of funny. Me and Ronnie Evans, not to name drop, but we were like talking about this the other day and how I think this tight end class is weak. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, at this point, you should know. Like, the Senior Bowl shouldn't change your mind about how good the tight end class is.
You say that, but Luke Musgrave had a great performance last year at the Senior Bowl and definitely moved up along with Tucker Kraft. He had a sensational postseason run there that he really went on a run and he really shot up boards there and then at the combine as well. So I could see one or two of these guys popping. Again, I think it's more likely it's a Barner or a Bell than it is a Theo or a Jared Wiley, but you never know. I think it could be interesting to see one of these guys pop off, but it's kind of throwing a dart. You know what I mean? You're kind of throwing darts here, really.
More in the sense of like your top 5 shouldn't adjust because of the Senior Bowl in any position, and if it does, it's a weak position, and that means it's a replaceable position in upcoming draft classes. So like the fact that any of these tight ends could be a top 5 tight end means they're replaceable next year, and that someone else was going to come in. So I don't know. I just don't see it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough there. Yeah, that pretty much does it there for the Senior Bowl. Any final thoughts down there in mobile here this week, Hoov? The only thing I can really say is, like, if you guys want great content daily about the Senior Bowl coverage, we don't have it here at IBT, but over there at Fantasy Pros, I'm a part of their writing and their editorial staff over there, and they got a good group down there of some great experts. So I'd be checking over there at the Fantasy Pros website, fantasypros.com, following their Twitter, their YouTube. I think they'll have some great content on it. Any final thoughts from you, Hoov, on Senior Bowl?
I think that I gotta go next year. I mean, it makes sense because I'm going to the draft next year, and the year after that, it's in Green Bay. So if I wanted to go to the draft, I just had to drive up. So I can go to that one. I can go to the combine too and use that money and that I'd save it to go somewhere else for the draft. So I think I got to go. We got to get some media credentials, and we got to get IBT represented. I don't want to hear that next year we don't got content for these beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah,
So
the draft starts in Mobile, so I think we'll definitely have to take a swing potentially down there and see what's going on down there in the great state of Alabama. But excited for this, man. And I know you said it really doesn't affect your rankings much. It honestly will maneuver my rankings, especially for these day 2 and day 3 guys that we don't have set in stone right now. There's a lot of guys that we saw at some of these games. Puka Nacua, I can't remember if he was at Senior Bowl or East-West Shrine Bowl, but I know he shot up a lot of people's rankings this time last year. Tank Dell was at the Shrine Bowl last year. He shot up people's rankings after that performance. So keep in mind, sometimes you are going to get some performances that we see some big performances from guys who go on to do not that much. Holton Ahlers, I think he was the MVP of last year's East-West Shrine Bowl, Hoov, and I'm pretty sure maybe he's on a practice squad with Seattle still, but didn't really get a lot of NFL looks. So something to keep in mind.
I will say there is one person that I got some love for because he He got drafted from UW Whitewater. Quinn Miners, guard tackle for the Broncos. He's out of UW Whitewater, and that's like 15 minutes from where I'm at. And I've got in contact with him. He shouted out HoovTube in a video that he sent to me, and he still is a starter today. And so he like really showed out at the Senior Bowl, and that was where he kind of did the Zeke thing, and he showed his belly, and it was belly of the beast. And I have his sweatshirt right back here. You can't see it right now, but yeah, if we're gonna talk Senior Bowl, I gotta give love to Quinn, and
shout out Quinn,
and shout out
Quinn. All right, let's round out Rave rookie reviews with something that I thought was kind of timely. We usually like to do a little lifestyle, a little entertainment in this section, talk a little fantasy, and then bring it back to the entertainment side of things, as we do have a lot of entertainment content on our site as well. And I want to talk about TV shows that still hold up, that can help get us to the spring. And right now I'm kind of in that point where NASCAR is about to take back off, but football is about to end. So I will have a little bit more free time. I'm not watching things on Monday night and Thursday night a lot of the time, other than content and kind of our own content, other people in the industry who. With that being said, I am starting to kind of get into some TV shows, trying to see what's good out there. I know you're a guy of pop culture. I know you like a bunch of different shows out there. So what can you recommend to the IBT family that they get listening to get us through to the spring and the good weather?
So I just wanted to make sure that I got the new one in. So you got the new one in. Right?
Yes.
All right. Beautiful. So if you on Wednesday nights are available, like I am, I make sure that I have Wednesday nights cleared, because a show that my girlfriend and we love very, very much. We've been watching it for a very long time. MTV's The Challenge. Go ahead and pull that up. I mean, if you're going to watch reruns, go ahead and watch New Girl. It's one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. You'll just laugh for hours and hours. Me and Heidi can watch that show for days, and just laugh at Schmidt and Cece's relationship, because that's us. But The Challenge is just it's so great. It's The Real World. If you remember The Real World on MTV, it just kind of evolved into its own thing, and it's like Survivor. Like my parents watched Survivor when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much like that. Like it's like the buzz of Survivor, like celebrities like Drake watch it. And I think I want to say Rihanna watches it too. There's a few, because I remember they were talking about on the podcast. They have the Challenge podcast too. And they were talking about how all of a sudden these guys, these celebrities just started following them because they were watching The Challenge, and it's so good. It just brings out the most competitive, the most competitiveness in people. I just love the chaos and the drama. And TJ Lavin, if you know TJ Lavin is, former BMX rider, he's the host, and just it's such a great show, just start to finish, all the seasons. I love it. It swerves you. So
we got Dave saying in the chat, I used to watch Survivor 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I did too, Dave, actually. Pretty much up until I went to college, I watched more seasons than not of Survivor. I loved it. But yeah, it's so hard to kind of stay committed and have that open availability. I also used to like Big Brother, Hoov. I think, which is kind of a similar show. But Big Brother, the thing with that is that was 3 episodes a week. So when I got into content creation, I was I can't watch that anymore. It was a fun ride. Tyler saying, I still watch Survivor. Tyler, do you either can you bet? You probably can't, but can you bet on Survivor? And I know there are Survivor fantasy leagues. Do you do any of those? I'd be curious about that, because sometime, maybe a spring one, maybe I could get invested in. That sounds fun.
I wanted to add that Challenge now actually it started with Real World, but now Big Brother people go on there. Now that you brought it up, there's so many people from Big Brother. It's kind of an inside joke. It's Big Brother sucks, and you can't say that on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the MTV shows that you see, Are You the
say
One
Big Brother
and
sucks? Get out of here.
No, it's an inside joke. It's
okay.
Did you watch when Josh was on?
No. Yeah.
Someone said it to him to piss him off, and it really got to him, and he was going to get in a fight because someone said Big Brother sucks, and just to get under his skin, Team Devin all day.
Tyler saying, y'all are missing out. The game of Survivor has evolved so much. Actually played Fantasy Survivor this year. That's cool, man. I would honestly be interested in learning more about that and potentially playing it maybe in another year or two when things slow down a little bit. But that's cool to see the game
Survivor on the Challenge too.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear that's evolved a little bit because that was a cool program. We got Dave saying Jersey Shore was big for me. Yeah, man,
Sure.
Jersey Shore. I can remember peak Jersey Shore, dude. We would go to my friend's house. We were in like middle school, and it'd be like cold as fuck out. And we would just run Jersey Shore, like kind of in the background most of the time. Maybe we were playing Xbox or maybe we were doing something else, sticking around their house. But yeah, I just remember I fucking loved Jersey Shore. Like way before I should have been watching any of that. You know what I mean, Hoov? I'm sure you're the same way. Like that was
Cavs are
not
here.
yeah, Cavs are here.
Cavs are here.
Gym tan and laundry, baby. Yeah, no, that's good stuff there. I would say a show that I just started watching the other night again that I think still holds up as well. Lost. Shout out Lost. This was another show I kind of watched as a kid. My parents would watch it. I'd be in the living room, I'd see it, kind of followed along with it a little bit, and man, that still holds up. A little bit of a psychological thriller, a little mystery action going on there. I thought that was a pretty good program. Hoov. You seen Lost at all, and do you think it still holds up?
I've seen a few episodes. I really couldn't get into it like that. Like my favorite like suspense TV show of all time is Mindhunter. You ever seen that one?
No, but I've heard great things. Is that a
Yes.
Netflix program as well?
Yes, but I think it
Okay.
might be going off of Netflix pretty soon. So
Okay.
it might be on something else now. I might be wrong on that, but I wouldn't hold me to that. But that's one that kind of like is in the same realm of like Lost. It just like it messes with you because you're like you think about it a little too much.
Yeah, yeah. We got Tyler saying OG Lost, John Locke for the win. Yeah, he was weird in that first episode, Tyler. We watched that the other night. I was like, oh yeah, he's kind of weird in that. But yeah, absolutely. Dave saying that Jersey Shore was high school for him, perfect era to go nuts with it. Yeah, man, Jersey Shore took over. Black Mirror. My little brother likes this show. He showed me
I
some,
can't
but I
get
was like,
into it.
no, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. That takes me for a fucking. You've seen that, Hoop? You've seen Black Mirror a little bit?
I'm good. My coworker described an episode to me, and I was like, I'm good.
Why would you
I'm
do
good.
that? Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you make yourself uncomfortable like that? No, I'm good.
I like
appreciate.
happy shows. I like genuinely like Heidi and I like don't agree on this. I'll share this. We don't see eye to eye because she likes movies that like like affect your feelings and like make you cry and like
Yeah.
I like things that make me happy. I will genuinely like watch stand up and animated movies all the time and like I don't care. I want to feel happy. I don't want to be
I feel you.
sad.
I feel
You know, I don't want to be bummed out. I don't want to hear about people murdering people. Like that's not me. I don't want to hear about it. So like I don't need that energy.
Nah, I feel you. I like some suspense and some thriller sometimes, but mix it in. But all right, let's go ahead. Let's round out the program with a little bit of From the Forum.
If you're up, stuck, thinking about what to do, here in between, we got advice for you. Back and forth all day, trying to pick the play. Let's hear what them boys here had to say.
Presented by the Fantasy Football Advice Network.
All right, from the forum, fantasyfootballadvice.com. I got to say shout out to the people over there at the Fantasy Football Advice Network for powering this segment, even in the off season here. It's been so great to connect with so many players and creators over at this network, man. It's combining different apps like Patreon for us creators, Discord, Facebook, Instagram. We're about to start up our fantasy football community over there, Hoov, where everyone can kind of hang out with us throughout the day. We can react to different news going on, post some content if we want over there as well. So the Fantasy Football Advice Network, they've been a huge supporter of what we've been doing. I know you've been on there here this last week, interacting and meeting a bunch of other people in the fantasy football community for the first time as well.
Yeah, my first week on the app, it's been different. I've engaged in a few different like fantasy football sports apps before, and this one's like it's very different, but also similar at the same time. And I know people, if you want to clip it and you want to share this with the people, I know it's intimidating downloading a new app and trying something new, but to me it was very beneficial, and that's not even like just like a selling point at all. To me, it's like that everyone that you post on there, they're actually there for a reason. Like they're going through the process because they want fantasy help. They want to talk about sports. They're not just here for entertainment or to like any ill intention. It's for good reasonings. And I love that that's the audience and that you can kind of feel that already with what they're building over there. And so like, it's more, you feel more motivated to want to put out content and ask more questions. And so the more people that we bring on, the better it's going to be. And so like, I'm just super excited to see like what this all becomes and who all joins.
It's a free platform to join as well. I think that's one of the coolest things. You can get over there at fantasyfootballadvice.com. You can join, you can check out all the discussion. You can join our group as well. We're going to have a group that you guys can join, come out and hang out with us during the day. And then eventually, if you guys want to upgrade to a premium account, then you get access to things like brands. You can post your own merch on there to sell, a bunch of different stuff that, you kind of have to pay for all these expensive memberships on other apps. It's a really cheap price over there at Fantasy Football Advice Network. It's like less than a coffee is. You know what I mean? Don't go to Starbucks once per month, or even half the time. And you can have Fantasy Football Advice Network. So shout out to them and everything they're doing over there. Looks like
importantly, it's ran by good people, and like you want to support good people, and that's just a big point right now. Is like you want to support good people, and I promise you, biggest vouch from me that it's going to a good person, it's going to a good cause, because I love what they're doing. I love what they're creating. So go ahead, support Fantasy Football Advice Network.
Yeah, there's a lot of fuckus out on the internet. Let's be honest. We're seeing it left and right in the fantasy football community all the time. There's a lot of fuckus, and there's no fuckus over there. And that is sometimes so refreshing, because sometimes I just hate getting on Twitter because I see so much fuckus. So it's nice to see like just fantasy football discussion. And we love lifestyle discussion. We love other sports. That's part of our brand. But at the same time, when you want just straight fantasy football information, it's easier for me to go post over there on the Fantasy Football Advice Network than Twitter, just to get some real, honest feedback from people who are in the trenches every single fucking day like us. So
it's very heartwarming to actually like be a part of something that's like, it's worthwhile. That sometimes you make content and you feel like it's just kind of getting lost, but when you're on there, that's like, I know people are listening. So you're heard. You're heard there. Good vibes.
We got Dave and Dee and Tyler weighing in on the movie discussion still. Dee saying Black Mirror and Lost is so good. I'm with you on Lost. Black Mirror, not so much, Dee. We got Dave saying psychologically stimulating and intellectually challenging. That was tough to say, but I appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. Tyler saying my wife loves happy shows. We are literally watching Office reruns right now while watching the show. No, dude, Office is like that show. If you just need good fucking times, you gotta check out The Office. And like just I haven't watched a lot of series through Hoov. I kind of get bored. I'm one of those guys. I have to be really hooked to get all the way through. I've watched The Office through once, and I would do it again because the vibes are immaculate over there in Scranton.
I watched The Office through. I tried getting into The Office when I was younger, and I watched like the first 2 seasons, and those are the slow seasons. Now that I've watched it, so now I know. And I was like, I don't know, but I watched it. I binge watched it, and it was awesome. But I'm also a binge watcher. Like, I wanted to make sure I watched the final episode of Game of Thrones with everyone else, so I binge watched it for like the 3 weeks beforehand, and I made sure I was the whole series.
Oh my God. I'm not. I can do 1 or 2 episodes and I'm good for the night. I'm good. I'll go do something creative. I can't.
But you know me. Still. I'll go to the movie theater, I'll get my popcorn, I'll come home, I'll watch Game of Thrones, chill with the dogs. That's my night.
I like it. I need to go to the movie theater just for popcorn, although the nearest movie theater would be like 25 minutes away. So I'm not just gonna go and get popcorn,
Heidi and I did go to the movies this weekend. So if anyone is going out to see a movie while we got the topic up, or TV shows that get you to the spring, if anyone wants to go see Anyone But You, I saw it this weekend with Heidi, and it was very, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a sweet rom-com. I wanted to kind of get out of the house, make sure I was prioritizing date night, with like football season coming to a close, and like Sunday being all about Chiefs and Niners trying to get to the Super Bowl. So Saturday was let's go to the movies, babe.
The girl,
yeah. So she picked it, and actually, like I thought I'd end up passing out, and I stayed through it the whole time. So I stayed awake the whole time.
Love it. Dee Dee saying she's a huge binge watcher too. It depends what I'm watching. If I get sucked in, for sure. All right, let's get to this question here from our gal Amber. What are you taking at the 107? Who are you taking at the 107 in Dynasty rookie drafts from Amber FFAN over there on the Fantasy Football Advice Network? This is really interesting, Who, because in a Dynasty rookie draft, let's assume this is super flex, you're likely going to see at least 3 quarterbacks go off the board for before this pick. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and also Caleb Williams, likely the 101. And you're probably, in my opinion, going to see 3 wide receivers as well: Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. towards the top of the draft. So if you're in this 107, you're kind of in the nook. You're kind of in that tier break that we thought last season as well. Where are you turning to? Are you reaching for someone? Is there someone in consensus you're going after?
We just actually had a clip on him this weekend. I commented back in the advice forum, and I talked about you're probably going to have to go quarterback value at this point, just because we don't know like how big teams are on guys like Bo Nix or Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy. Personally, I think JJ McCarthy will get drafted before Bo Nix and Michael Penix.
I do too. I'm with you on that.
Just the age, I think that he's the prime spot that if I think he's gonna go to the Broncos at 12.
I hope not. I hope not.
Little sneak preview for the Hoov's mock draft 2.0 coming soon next week to IBT website. But I think that it's between JJ McCarthy right there for quarterback value, but we also know like how the Broncos are set up right now. They're rebuilding. So I think I'm going to change that and go with someone we talked about this week, my Wisconsin Badgers running back. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go full send as the RB1 of the draft. I'm going Braylon Allen because running back value, if anyone's going to be a guy out of this draft, it's Braylon Allen. So when you're looking at, all right, I have Marvin 101. I have Marvin going over Caleb. I don't care what it is. I'm just taking it because Marvin Harrison Jr., if he's a Jefferson Chase Marvin, if that's it, still worth it every time. Every time. If let's say Caleb Williams was Trevor Lawrence and you had Justin Jefferson and Trevor Lawrence in a draft, you take Justin Jefferson 101. So that's kind of my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvin, Caleb, May, Daniels, Neighbors. I could probably honestly justify going to Neighbors over May and Daniels, Odunze, and then like you said, like that's the top 6 right
top
there.
Top 6.
Yeah, top 6. So it's honestly, you like Bo Nix rushing upside and he lands in a good spot, go with Bo Nix. You like JJ McCarthy where he lands, go with JJ McCarthy for the quarterback value at the young age. If you like are win now and you think that you're a running back away, you go Braylon Allen, baby.
I don't think Braylon Allen's the hottest take because like there is a chance like if you are drafting at this point, you don't have a ton of information to go off of, and there is a chance like we talked about it last week. Could he go to the Cowboys? Then he would be like a 4th or 5th round rookie pick or redraft pick. So and easily catapult himself up into the 1st round of dynasty rookie drafts as well. The pick for me though at the 107, it's Brock Bowers. Who like I think to me like you're getting the potential. He's going to come in for me and probably be my tight end 2 or 3 right away. Like as far as dynasty rankings go, Laporta will be ahead. Depending what we kind of hear from Kelsey, if he's going to give it like 2 more years, I'd probably still put Kelsey ahead of him. But I think after that, it's probably Brock Bowers for me. And like, man, you talk about a generational tight end who broke out during his freshman campaign with the best freshman campaign we've ever seen. If there's someone who can also continue to buck this trend that rookie tight ends can't do it is Brock Bowers. So I like Brock Bowers a lot. I don't know about the landing spot. I don't know. Maybe you got a little Hoov mock draft preview for us about where Brock will land, but I don't know the landing spot. But like, could you imagine Brock Bowers out in Los Angeles Chargers? Like that would be probably like, that would be the best. You know what I mean? That would probably be like the best case scenario. I don't think that will happen. But I love Brock Bowers, man. What can I say? Like, I think this is the guy. I think this is the fucking guy.
Hypothetically, let's just say Brock Bowers slid out of the top 10 because of the top amount of talent. Okay.
I'm fine with that.
And then you start seeing some teams right there that necessarily don't need top tight ends. They need to prioritize other spots. And then you see at 15, you see Seth's Indianapolis Colts sitting there looking for a tight end. What about that? What do you think about Anthony Richardson to Brock Bowers?
I think it sounds electric and it sounds fun.
That sounds sexy, man.
But
Come on.
it sounds awesome. But maybe, yeah, I don't know. I do have a little bit of questions how many targets a Shane Steichen offense can't. It's a pretty concentrated offense. So I do where he would probably become part of that concentration. But we saw Pittman just get such a large target share and Josh Downs down the stretch as well. I'd be maybe a little concerned. And we still don't know.
Love Molly Cox.
Yeah. I mean, there's no good tight end there in Indy. You know, they're all kind of just guys right now. They're Mo Alley Cox. They're, oh man, I have a bunch of them stat. Kyle Branson. I got Branson on a couple.
Right.
And then there's even the one guy that popped off in the middle of the season. I can't remember his name. He's so out there. But yeah,
like, think about it with the Colts. Like, what else do they really need right now? They need a tight end more. So if Brock Bowers slides, keep your eyes on the Colts to grab him.
Yeah, but love the question here from Amber. I'm not opposed to Hoov going a quarterback here. I think Braylon Allen's in the discussion. If you want to reach, there is that like next group of we got Toronto Dave saying Ogletree. Yeah, it's the other tight end for the Colts I have on a couple fucking squads. No, I appreciate that, Hoov. But yeah, I think really, Hoov, it's interesting because you could go with another one of these wide receivers, a Troy Franklin, a Keon Coleman, someone in that range. They're viable. Like the 107, if you have it right now and you're drafting before the NFL draft, like the world is your oyster. You could go Bowers. You could go with an advantage at the tight end. You could lock down a potential franchise quarterback in a McCarthy. Or you get wild, you roll the dice with one of these wide receivers or a Braylon Allen. Toronto Dave saying Xavier Worthy. I'm not. I will say,
or Brian Thomas Jr. He's around there too.
Or Donnie Mitchell's even not too far from there too.
Yeah. I will say that one of my favorite moves I've ever done, or at least a move that helped me this season, I would say, is I had the 106 last year. And the guy from the 107 was willing to trade me the 107 to swap. He gave me Christian Watson just to move up. So it's Christian Watson.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Christian Watson on top of the 107. And I got Jordan Addison and he got JSN. So is Jordan Addison and Christian Watson JSN? Like I like that side just from where my team's at, and they need more wide receivers. So I liked it, and I think that that's a prime spot. Like if a team's willing to move up to grab their guy that they think is like generational, take that. If you're like you like three guys right there.
But at the same time, if you think there is someone generational there, stay packed or do what you can to move up. I remember last year I was at the 107 Hoov and I made the move up to the 106 to get CJ Stroud. He slid and I grabbed him. I think maybe I threw in, it was not anything great. Maybe it was a 4th round pick that I threw in with him. But so I guess, I could have landed someone generational there too with Puka. But
but also like I should add too, is that you got to be smart about it, because if you move back 2 picks, your pick might not be there. Like, I was thinking Jordan Addison when he sent me that trade. I'm like, all right, I can move back to Jordan Addison. I'm cool with that. But like, imagine if I move back 2 picks and I got stuck with Quentin Johnston, and I had Quentin Johnston and Christian Watson, and I could have had JSN. Like, I would have been pissed. So, like, just be mindful. But that is an opportunity right here on the 107 to trade back.
Yeah. We got Rachel. Hey, friends. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. I guess I'll just round us out when saying it. If you guys are heading into Dynasty rookie draft season anytime soon for you, keep your head on a fucking swivel in these drafts, because you never know what's going to happen. I've seen 2nd round picks get thrown out there for in the times like past when Deebo Samuel, before he had his breakout. I remember him going for a 2nd round rookie pick just in the middle of a draft. I remember last year, I wheeled and dealed a trade. I traded Mac Jones away. I grabbed a couple rookie picks, and the throw-in that I asked for was Nico Collins. And you know what I mean? So like, you can get really lucky sometimes, and some of it's just, the luck of the draw. But yeah, keep your head on a fucking swivel out there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Senior Bowl and just this week in sports. We got the Senior Bowl, we got the West Shrine Bowl. We also have the PGA Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So you got to check that out. The 19th hole, they just had a great episode earlier today as well. And then NASCAR is back, Hoov. We're heading to the track. The Clash at the Coliseum this week. We're going to be covering that later in the week with Ellie and Rod here on the channel. So this is a great week in sports. I hope everyone enjoys it, lives it to the fullest, and shout out again just to this great community we're building between here at In Between Media and on our YouTube and our website, inbetweenmedia.com, and over there at the Fantasy Football Advice Network. We appreciate everyone over there as well. And man, it's been a journey, Hoov, and today was a big milestone for us, and just thankful for it, grateful to work with such a great organization here at IBT and everything we have rolling. And hey, man, don't be afraid to be a disruptor. That's what I'm going to leave you with tonight, guys. Don't be afraid to be a fucking disruptor. Do shit your way. Don't be afraid to mix it up, because what's going to make your content different if you ever want to do something like this? What's going to make you different as a human being? That's what you got to think about out there. So hope everyone has a great rest of your Tuesday night. We'll be back next week. Until then, enjoy all the clips on the channel. Subscribe, come back, hang out with us again. Until then, though, you know what to do, guys. Keep it fucking in between.